Welcome to A Course in Miracles, Living the Love, Walking the Talk with Reverend Jennifer Hadley.
Bonjour, bonjour, bonjour. So grateful to join together today by means of this technology. And I'm grateful to have a dear friend with me, Linda Soto, and I will introduce her in just a moment. But first, let's say a blessing. I invite you to place your hand on your heart and let's be grateful and thankful that this stuff works, that A Course in Miracles works when we work it. So we are grateful to come together with a great willingness to truly walk the talk and live the love, to truly live the principles of A Course in Miracles to the best of our ability, and to open our hearts and minds to truth, to love, to compassion like never before. We're opening ourselves to new insights and to remembering to laugh. We are grateful to share the benefits with everyone everywhere because we're one with them. And in gratitude, we allow it to be, and so it is. Amen. 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 Yeah. So it's my honor, my pleasure to introduce my friend, dear friend, Linda Soto, who I've known for over a decade. And she is one of the certified counselors that I have certified, one of the quantum counselors. So I've trained Linda. She's been in class with me for over a decade. And she has been teaching classes and workshops. And she has a YouTube channel, which is at Cosmic Heart Spirit Heart, at Cosmic Heart Spirit Heart. She's been putting out messages there on YouTube about how this stuff works and what it's like to really walk the talk and live the love in her precious and unique and inspiring voice. She also leads a Course in Miracles group that has been meeting for, how long has your group been meeting for, Linda?
6 years now.
6 years.
Yeah.
On Tuesdays. And so, Linda has, boy, like all of us, Linda and I have watched each other grow and really anchor into living these principles. And of all the people I know, I think Linda is one of the most dedicated people who she's really interested in embodying these principles, but also liberating, really understanding that her liberation comes from walking the talk, living the love, and not just reading information or studying things, but that practical application. Because we all know a lot of Course in Miracles students, they content themselves with reading the material, but not really living those lessons and practicing those lessons. And that's where it all shifts and changes. That's where the miracles happen. And so Linda has had, if I may say so, many challenging years since I've known you. It's really been one thing after another that you've gone through in your life. And the latest thing, just amazing, like just I've just seen you go through so much and and really learn to work with it with A Course in Miracles principles. So just thinking of waiting for spirit to give me an initial. Well, let me ask you, how did you come to A Course in Miracles? How long have you been studying A Course in Miracles?
Well, I was introduced to A Course in Miracles in the late 70s, early 80s. And so I read it off and on since then, mostly off, but off and on. And then when my husband was ill at the beginning of his illness, like 2009, 2010. I was looking for something to dive into to help lift me up. And so I reached out, or I dove into, I should say, A Course in Miracles once again. And I have been doing the lessons, the daily lessons every day since then. So 15 years I've been doing the lessons every day. I have missed a few, but yeah, almost every single day. And that's one of the things that I feel is like a touchstone or a life buoy that I have been graced with. Yeah. And then somebody introduced me to Gary Renard's book, Disappearance of the Universe, because even though I had been reading A Course in Miracles for a long time, it still felt like every time I picked the book up, I was reading a foreign language that I didn't understand. And like a lot of people, that kind of helped. It was like a key that unlocked something in my brain so that I understood what I was reading much better. And I started the study group because I wanted to be able to hold myself accountable for reading the actual text. And I enjoyed doing it with other people. And I think I had the idea of starting a study group for 2 or 3 years before I actually got it off the ground, because when I first got the inspiration, I thought it meant that I had to start a study group here in my hometown of Erie.
Right.
And I finally got it. Like, no, it's supposed to be on Zoom so that you can reach people all over the world. I'm like, should have had a V8 kind of moment. And so we've been doing that every week. I think since 2018.
And
Yeah.
I know people love that group.
It's so much fun. We get together, we read one section a week. It doesn't seem like a lot, but we always are able to fill the entire hour. We meet at noon Eastern. The idea was so that people could join during their lunch hour if they would like. And there are a few people that come almost every single week that have been there from the very beginning. And then there's others that have joined just this year. And we started with the Foundation for Inner Peace versions, read through all those and the addendums. And now we're working our way through the Circle of Atonement version. We're almost to chapter 8. So I'm not sure what we'll do when we get to the end, but I think we have quite a ways to go before that even happens, because I do like reading the entire thing, the text, the section for teachers, and the pamphlets for psychotherapy and prayer. And yeah, so it's been very fulfilling, and it's amazing how no matter what I'm reading, it seems to pertain to what I've been going through for the week.
Yes, it's pretty amazing how spirit manages to work that out for us.
Yeah.
Yeah, every day of our lives. Yeah.
Absolutely. And it was through that journey that I got to find you too, because after I read Disappearance, you had interviewed Gary on one of your Living A Course in Miracles series. And so you would interview those that you had on as guests. And then the next day you would do like a homework class where you talked about, and I was like, this woman is like living these teachings. She's just not spouting what she knows from memory. Like all of the ways that you were able to express how you apply it to what's happening in your life was what really spoke to me. And that's what I was interested in doing. So that's what I've been doing now since I joined your classes in 2013.
Yeah. And, so here's a question that comes to me. So you've had a lot of intensity. I have a friend who's like, you call it intense. I call it tragic. I call it insane. I call it, but I call it intensity. Um, since I've known you and 10, 11 years now, 11 years, I think. And so the first thing was that your father passed away, I think.
Well, the
Or
first
before
thing
that,
was,
Rudy was sick,
yeah,
your
Rudy got
husband.
sick. And then my dad passed away short. It was like a year after I joined Masterful Living.
So your husband had developed kidney disease
And heart disease.
and heart disease. And then your father passed away.
Yeah. And then I was taking care of my mom for 5 years after my dad passed away until she passed in 2020.
And your cousin in there too.
My cousin Gordon, yeah, he died a couple of years before that. Yeah. And now I feel like all of those were a dress rehearsal for me for dealing with Rudy's passing, my husband, just a little over a month ago. And it has been the most intense thing that I have ever gone through, but there are so many blessings and miracles, and there's so much like insights that I'm able to see more clearly about our lives that I feel even closer to him than I did when he was here, because he was never somebody that would talk to you about how he was feeling or, his fears, his aspirations, his dreams. That was just not his personality. It was very quiet. And I was able over the last year to let go of some of the ways that my personality liked to control things and become more loving and accepting of the ways that he was in the world and the ways that I was in the world. And I have just come to this place of peace, of not feeling angry or sad about how things turned out, and not feeling guilty about any of the things that either one of us did. So yeah, it's been an interesting journey, especially when I look at like other people that I know that have gone through the loss of a spouse. And we were together 43 years. We were married 40. So the way I'm being guided through this grief journey is just remarkable.
Yeah.
Just inconceivably remarkable.
Let's talk about that a little. And also, so for instance, Rudy went through kidney transplant. So there were years of being on the list and waiting and waiting and waiting, and then actually having the kidney transplant, and then several years going by, a number of years going by, and then he's not doing so well, and then he passes away. So
Yeah.
because one of the things that a lot of people deal with, Linda, that you have dealt with over the years is you're in a close relationship, your mother, your father, your child, your husband, your wife, your your significant others in your life who, let's say, are not taking care of themselves and experiencing challenges and illness, or maybe they're not taking care of their finances, or maybe they're not taking care of whatever it is, and it impacts those who love them and those who live with them,
Yeah.
and those who depend on them. And how do we, as Course in Miracles students, really live A Course in Miracles in that? Because that is some serious, badass ego intensity. When I mean, I had a bunch of it with my mom,
Right.
because she wanted to eat chocolate, and my mind back then was saying, cancer loves sugar. Cancer loves sugar. What is she doesn't even, she'd rather have the chocolate than more time with me. I've talked about all that. So how did you, I mean, it was a journey, because with your mom, right, and with your husband, how did you learn to work with that ego intensity?
Yeah. That took a while, because I'm a 2 on the Enneagrams. If you know anything about the Enneagrams, I know Jennifer does. The 2 is the helper, and I say helper in quotes because the helper, I feel like can come from a place of giving to get, that Jennifer talks about often, where I am giving so that I can get safety, or I can get love, or I can get recognition. And that is never a healthy place to be coming from. And so with both my mom and my husband, my personality's response to their illnesses was to try and control everything, what they ate, how they slept. And the thing I think that really pulled me out of it was, even before my dad passed away, and my mom was getting so sick, I was making smoothies, and I was making these elaborate smoothies with fruits and vegetables, and everything was organic, and there were powders and supplements, and I thought they were delicious because I was used to drinking them. Well, I started bringing them to my mom, and she hated the way they tasted. And I thought, even if I could get her just to drink like a little tiny juice glass of it, that's got to be better for her than not getting enough fruits and vegetables and nutrients in her.
Right.
And so I was making her these. It was only maybe a few weeks that I was doing this for her, and I would bring them every few days. And I thought she was pouring them into her little juice glass and drinking them. Well, I brought her the smoothie container full of her smoothie for the next few days. And then I had to go over there like the day after or something. And I saw the container of the smoothies sitting on the kitchen counter next to the sink, completely empty. And I'm like, I know damn well she didn't drink that. And it just made me laugh, because, I could have got really angry at her, but I could see her childlike innocence of like, no, I don't want to drink that. That's gross. And I think that was like the beginning of the end of my trying to control and manipulate what my loved ones were doing, because what I was realizing was I was spending my time, my energy, my money to try and manipulate them to being something that they were not. And it was not helpful to either one of us. And, maybe it made them feel guilty for, not accepting it as the gift that it was meant to be. But, like you were saying, I can't believe she wants to eat the chocolate more than stay on this planet with me a little bit longer.
Right.
That example that you had given was, a light bulb moment for me, realizing that this is not going to help them.
Right.
They're not receiving it in that way.
Right.
And so I just let it go. And it got much easier because I wasn't spending all of that time, energy, and money on doing things that they didn't really want.
Right. Yeah.
And I could let go of the judgments that I had that they should be doing those things.
Right. Yeah. And still, though, it's my experience is those kinds of challenges, they really are so intense for me.
Yeah.
And that because it's like beats on your mind all day, every day. And
Yes.
that's what I think of as that hamster wheel, the ego hamster wheel, where it's unrelenting. It's unrelenting because we do have such strong attachments, of course, to our loved ones, to their health, to their
Right.
happiness. And our well-being is all mixed up in with theirs. And so that's why I talk about the fact that I literally made the equation in my mind. My mother eats the cake, it means she doesn't love me.
Right.
Because the cancer loves the sugar, she loves the cake, so she doesn't love me. She loves the cake more than she loves me. She'd rather eat the cake, get out of here, and leave me than stay with me, eat the broccoli and stay with me.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I just couldn't stop making that equation until finally I was like, just, I gave it up. But
Yeah.
it took years for me to finally be like, okay, I just can't think these thoughts anymore. I didn't understand that I just had to get to the point where I will not think these thoughts anymore
Mm-hmm.
and mean it.
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
like a decision that you have to make. You make the decision and then you're trying it, that course correct thing. You're trying to make the turn around the corner so that you're not thinking that crazy thought anymore, that, you know, the eating of the cake or the eating of the pretzels in my mom's case equated to they don't love me.
Right.
It really takes I call it radical responsibility
Yeah.
for your thoughts, because
Yes.
that thought is still going to come up over and over and over again until you can really, like the course says, learn to laugh
Yeah.
at it. Because, you know, if you tell anybody, I think my mother loves pretzels more than she does me, they're going to laugh at you because that
Right.
sounds insane.
Right.
But the ego thought system is an insane thought system.
Right.
So, you know, when I got to the point where I felt like, okay, I hear you, this part of me that is thinking that way, and I don't believe you anymore. I love you for whatever reason you came up into my life to begin with. You know, whatever way you were supposedly helping me or making me feel safe in the past. Thank you. I appreciate that. But I'm a more mature spiritual being now, and I can let go of that thought because I know it's not true.
Right. Yes. Yes.
But yeah, it took years. Yeah, thank you.
So one of the things that helped me with that kind of thinking, I'm just remembering it now. So I spent a number of months supporting my parents while my mother was laying the body down. And I remember, and I would get up very early to start doing whatever needed to be done, laundry, food prep, cooking, like you said, smoothies and supplements and all that stuff I did. And then at the end of the night, my parents would conk out early. so I could have a little time to myself. Now, I was not unhappy or miserable during that time, but at the end of the day, it would be, I would fall into sometimes self-medication routines of, okay, I'm going to have a couple glasses of wine, I'm going to have some potato chips, that kind of thing. Watch a little TV and just decompress. I know nobody listening has any idea what I'm talking about, but but and so it was one night I was doing that and feeling like, I want some more potato chips. I'm going to have them. I'm going to have another. Maybe I shouldn't have a third glass of wine, but I'm going to do it anyway. And it was in that moment of third glass of wine, second bowl of potato chips, or whatever it was, that I went, oh, this is just like my mom wants that cake.
Yeah.
It's exactly the same thing. It's not that she doesn't love me or she doesn't care. It's just, I need some distraction from my mind. I need some distraction from my discomfort.
Mm-hmm.
And this is going to provide it in this moment now.
Yeah.
So that was a huge aha for me. And it helped me, literally helped me move into neutrality about my own self-medication or food issues. Yeah. Food,
Yeah.
alcohol issues. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. I had that same kind of experience. Let's see, mom died in October. 4 months later, I quit smoking. And I had quit before a couple of times. I quit while I was pregnant with my son.
Haven't we all?
Yeah. And then I quit one other time. And then I used some stressful situation to start back up again. And I, when I quit, my mother had just passed. It was during COVID. I was cleaning and clearing out her house. A lot of it by myself because
COVID.
during COVID, my sister, she lives in New York. I'm in Pennsylvania. She couldn't cross the state line. And then she had her appendix removed. So she was recovering from that during that time. So I can't say that it was not stressful, but I did that same thing where I was like, first I had the realization I am killing myself with these cigarettes because right after my mom died, I smoked like I was smoking awful, so much more than I had ever in my life. And I realized I'm killing myself with this. And then I just decided I was just going to give myself permission to do it. And I would go, because I wouldn't smoke in the house because of my husband. And I would go out into the garage or the patio, wherever I was going to smoke. And I would go out there and I would be saying, this is the most healthy thing that I can do for my body right now. God is so happy with me as a spiritual student because I am smoking this cigarette right now. And it sounds ridiculous, but it only took a few weeks. And then I finished my last cigarette in a pack in February. I want to say it was February 19th. I'm not exactly sure. But it was 2021, right in the midst of clearing out my mom's house after she died. And I haven't picked one up since. And I don't tell myself that I quit. I just say, I'm choosing not to do it now. I suppose if I really wanted to, I could drive myself to the store and buy another pack of cigarettes. Lord only knows how much they cost these days.
Yeah, right.
So, I'm giving myself permission that if I really wanted to do that, I could absolutely do it. I'm just choosing not to do it. And it's different than shaming myself
exactly
into not doing it. And I'm working with that with food as well, because there has been some self-medication since Rudy started getting really sick around November of last year and had to go back into dialysis. And especially these last 2 months, they were really rough. With him being in congestive heart failure on top of all that. So we were both self-medicating with food, with shopping, with give me all the things. And I would say, I think maybe once or twice since he has passed, have I decided to medicate with food. But I'm realizing in the moment when I'm doing it, and I'm like, okay, I'm choosing this in this moment. This doesn't mean that this is going to be a habit that I'm going to be doing over and over and over again. I can just let myself through this painful moment.
Yeah. And you know what? Look, I'll say this, my dad, the only thing I've ever seen him self-medicate with is work.
Mm-hmm.
Working. And but I've never seen him do it with food, ever. And my dad is one of these people who he weighs the same that he weighed like in high school, maybe 5 extra pounds or something,
Yeah.
It's crazy, and he used to be a runner. He doesn't run anymore, but still somehow he manages to weigh the same.
Yeah.
He eats less. There's no part of it that is hard for him. And he eats what he wants. He has wine with dinner. He has a beer when he wants to have a beer. He wants to eat some nuts. He eats some nuts. He wants to eat cheese. He eats cheese. He eats chips. Whatever he wants, he eats it. I didn't inherit any of that at all. Not at all. I inherited if we inherit stuff, I got all my mother's self-medication stuff. So but there are still times when my dad is having a good time and he'll be like, yeah, let's have another round of margaritas. And then he's a little tipsy. So that to me is not the same as self-medication.
Right.
And there are times when my dad will do this on a regular basis. My brother does it too. We're having popcorn for dinner. Giant bowl of popcorn. That's what's going to be for dinner. And I've certainly done that and said, oh, I'm going to have frozen yogurt for dinner, as I've talked about and things. So is it self-medication or is it just, because my dad does not self-medicate with food ever. But and for me, sometimes I'm like, I am having a giant bowl of broccoli. Seriously.
Yeah.
I make some really delicious broccoli.
Yeah.
And I just want to have, that's all I want to have, broccoli. Big bowl of broccoli. And so sometimes we just want to eat a big chunk of something really delicious, or oh yeah, that's delicious to drink. Let me have another one of those cocktails or something.
Yeah.
I don't really think that is the same as self-medication. Like, that pie is so delicious, I'm going to have a second piece. I don't think, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So
absolutely.
Yeah, I think there's the self-medication is like, I'm tuning out now. And I also don't think it's a crime or a sin.
Right.
But but for me, I was doing it all the time. I was doing it a lot, and then waking up feeling physically ill.
Yeah. Like a hangover.
That's a different thing. That's a different thing.
Yeah. I'm really working towards I've been to different people that do nutritional weight loss programs, and what I'm really interested in now, and I'm feeling like I'm getting to that mindset, I'm getting really close to that mindset, is the people that I know that are at a healthy weight, they don't think about it. They think about eating to fuel their body.
Right.
And they think about exercise because they enjoy having healthy, strong bones, muscles. And but they don't think about weight loss. They don't think about counting calories or nutritional, whatever, micronutrients or whatever. And I'm not interested in making that a part of my life, counting micronutrients.
Oh gosh, no.
So, and I really feel like I'm getting to that point. I am almost there. So, pretty soon I'll be perfect and then you just won't even be able to handle me anymore.
Well, you are perfect already.
Thank you.
Yes. Yeah. I know what you mean, though. I know what
Yeah.
you mean. On that laughter, I'm going to take us into a break.
Okay.
And so, as we're going into the break, I'd just like to say again that Linda Soto, along with all the other quantum counselors, is listed under the counselors at powerofloveministry.net, powerofloveministry.net, and her YouTube channel is at Cosmic Heart Spirit Heart, at Cosmic Heart Spirit Heart. And Linda, it has been a certified quantum counselor at the Power of Love Ministry for 5-6 years.
Yeah, since 2018 I was certified.
Yeah, so 7 years.
Yeah.
And 7-8 years, and she is a beautiful teacher of A Course in Miracles, and you can reach out to her through the website, and you can maybe even join her Course in Miracles group. All right, so don't go away. We'll be right back.
Thank you for tuning in for A Course in Miracles, Living the Love, Walking the Talk.
All right, we're back, and I'm here with Linda Soto. Thanks for coming back after the break. And so we were talking about self-medicating and how we learn to sort of move out of that or work with that as Course in Miracles students. And we both quit smoking cigarettes and had a similar experience of just being done with it. And part of that was, as you said, and same for me, letting it be neutral, not making it wrong, not making it a sin, is so important and so helpful. And so now, as you also said, your husband, Rudy, your partner of 40 some years, passed away about a month ago, and which obviously would probably be the most intense thing in your life. And how have you been working the principles of A Course in Miracles? How do you feel that's happening for you? Because I'm obviously, you and I as spiritual counselors, we work with people all the time who are grieving. And particularly, it's very intense for people who have lost their spouse and they're staying in the same house. And you didn't immediately move out of the house. Obviously, you're still in the same house. So what are you learning as a Course in Miracles student through this experience?
I'm learning to give myself grace. I'm learning that I really have accepted that we are not bodies. And though I miss having my husband's physical presence around, and like there are times when I wish I could hug him one more time. That's just going to be a thing for a while.
Yeah.
And it's okay. Maybe a thing forever. That's
yeah.
Still okay. But I am so at peace with the fact that his physical presence is not here, because I have been working with I am not a body for so many years now. And most of the time, obviously, I was working with I am not a body with my own body because of the body issues that I've had with the eating and the weight and stuff like that. But it seems like there is such peace and acceptance of his physical presence not being here anymore, that I feel so grateful that he's been liberated from that body that was sick for so long.
Yes.
And that kept him from doing so many things that he really loved to do. He loved to work out in the yard. We used to make jokes that I had a Mexican gardener because he's of Mexican descent. And my taking in the teachings of A Course in Miracles to that degree, it kind of surprised me. And I'm super grateful for it, because I realize that, first of all, I know he's not gone. He's just in a different form. I can still yell at him, like shortly after he passed away. I knew I had to eat something. It was around dinner time. I wasn't really hungry, so I was going to eat some cereal. My cereal was almost gone, and so I poured in some of his cereal, and I said, "I'm eating your cereal." And the cupboard door that I was standing in front of popped open just a little bit, and I just laughed. Like, I know you're here, you're still getting into mischief. And when I was speaking at his celebration of life that we had this past weekend, I started us off with a prayer, and then I started sharing a couple of memories that I had of him. And the wind just really picked up to the point where we have like this little pinwheel, spinning wheel, metal thing. It's not that little. It's probably about this big around, in the yard, was going around so fast and making so much noise that people could not hear me talking, and I just turned around and said, "All right, we get it. You're here." So I know that he's not gone. Just his physical presence is gone. And I just find so much comfort in that. But I also understand that there are a lot of people that they don't have A Course in Miracles to comfort them,
Right.
to help them to realize what is happening. And I just remember hearing Gary Renard saying something about, you're not going to go into a funeral parlor of somebody that's just lost a loved one and say, well, they're not really gone. He's like, don't be weird.
Yeah, don't be weird.
So I don't know. People might think it's weird how well I am doing. I don't feel like it's weird. I feel like it's a blessing that I have given myself by my dedication and my practice. And like I've said before, if it would not have been for him making that decision that he didn't want to have diabetes anymore, and so he didn't take care of himself for a couple of years, and that's why he initially got sick to begin with. If that would never have happened, I would not have gone back to A Course in Miracles. I would not have come to find you. I would not have found Christine Surfozo, my somatic movement teacher. I would not have found Jim Donovan, my drumming and sound therapy teacher. I would not be a spiritual counselor. I would not be doing or being any of the things that I'm doing and being now. And I just look at that as such a gift that he gave to me. And that is a miracle.
Yeah.
That's a real miracle to me.
Yes.
And
that's, yeah.
I just, like I mentioned when I was in the year one class on Monday, the thing about it is I don't feel resentment towards him. I don't feel guilty about being grateful for that. I don't feel like he should feel guilty or resentment, or it's just a dance that we've been doing for the last 43 years. And so, my dance partner is not quite on the same floor that I'm dancing on anymore.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It
Yeah.
brings me peace and strength and courage to do the things that have to be done.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. The only way I can relate to it really is when my mother passed away. I really didn't feel like I needed to grieve.
Right.
I really didn't.
Yeah.
Of course, yeah, we don't want our loved ones to leave the planet. We'd like to have them with us, but that's life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
These bodies were not meant to be permanent.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
so I felt the same way after my mom passed, because she not only was her body failing her, but she had dementia, pretty severe dementia, for the last 5 to 7 years of her life. We didn't realize how severe it was until after my dad passed away. But I felt that same way, where I really didn't feel like I was grieving her, because I feel like I found so much more of her. I was able to let go of the guilt and the shame that I was holding against myself for not being able to care for her the way that I would have liked to, because I was caring for
Right.
two people at the same
Right.
time. And
Yeah.
I just didn't have the bandwidth to deal with it, especially during COVID. And, but when I was able to let go of that guilt and shame, I was able to recall memories that brought me such joy
Mm.
of our time together. And
Mm-hmm.
again, I feel like her passing, my father's passing, my cousin's passing, they were all dress rehearsals for this moment,
Mm. Mm-hmm.
dealing with Rudy's passing.
Mm-hmm. So that brings up a question in my mind, Linda, about because I obviously I remember when you were caring for your mother and your husband and even your cousin in there at the same time,
Mm-hmm.
all of that going on and COVID, right? And what were some of the things from the course that really helped you, that you could helped you work with your mind during that time? Because it was overload,
Yeah.
serious overload.
Yeah. One of the things that would come to my mind often was, when things were super intense and my mind wanted to go into blaming or shaming myself or somebody else, is I could hold on to the thought, my mind holds only what I think with God. I may still be
Yeah,
cursing
right.
myself or somebody else on the other side of my mind, but I could hold on to that thought of my mind holds only what I think with God. And I feel like that is the gift of the daily lessons, of doing the daily lessons over and over again. I know the text in within the daily lessons. Sometimes I read it and I swear I've never read it before. And I know that can't be true because I've been doing it since 2010, right? Almost every single day. But the gift is that because I am so determined to continue consistently without judging myself when I falter to practice using A Course in Miracles and embodying A Course in Miracles in my everyday life and every experience. Gifts like that come to me. My mind holds only what I think with God. Even if I want to scream and yell at the nurse or the insurance company or, whatever you happen to be having to deal with. It's a blessing to have those lessons and those things to apply to what you're doing on a daily basis.
It is. It is. Yeah. So, and at the time, it may not seem like a blessing. It might seem like a curse.
Yeah.
Yeah. But if we're willing to work with our mind when it's super intense, when we almost feel like giving up, and we feel like the rats are eating us from the inside, if we can keep going back to Jesus, keep going back to the Holy Spirit, keep going back to we're not alone.
Right.
And just depending upon the invisible field of love, then we find out what it's for.
Yeah.
And then we put it in our script.
Exactly.
Yeah. So how do you feel about that? If you think about, okay, I wrote this script, I put these things in my script. How do you work with that in your mind?
Well, there are times when the snarky side of me is like, what the F were you thinking?
Sure.
But I have seen evidence of the work that I have done because of the circumstances that I have put in my script. I have seen evidence of how it has affected my son in his life. And it motivates me to keep going. I also feel like I can really sense my ancestors pushing me and holding me up. Wow. and trusting that feeling that I have that the work that I'm doing is helping myself and my family, but also helping them. And because at this point, I know that the idea that I'm not smart enough or not good enough is no longer in my family script. I know that the idea that I have to live with poverty consciousness is also no longer in my script. Because I mean, but that's one of the things that we realized after Rudy passed was that we have up to $100,000 of medical debt and a considerable amount of credit card debt, and I am not worried about any of it. It is resolving itself beautifully, effortlessly. And I just keep telling my son, because him and my sister they've been the worriers in the family. And I just keep telling them, I am not worried about this. I'm concerned in the fact that I know that there are things that I must do to take care of it. And I am doing them as I am guided to do them. And so far, it's all working out pretty well. I have no fears about my financial future. I have no fears about
the financial future of the rest of my family. Rudy and I were not great with money. My parents were not great with money. His parents were not great with money. My sister married somebody that is like financial wizard. My son married somebody that is like financial wizard. And they are doing great financially. And I just keep telling them over and over again, you will not need to take care of me in that way.
Mm-hmm.
I am already supported and provided for.
Mm-hmm.
I thank you for your offers.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that it's not necessary. Trust that.
Mm-hmm.
So there are just so many things that have been patterns in my lineage that
Mm-hmm.
I can see they are no longer a thing. They are neutral now. And 5-10 years ago, if you would have told me all of these situations, I probably would have been a basket case. I probably would have been running around like a chicken with my head cut off, trying to figure out how I was going to get out of it or through it or whatever. And I'm, really sitting in, I need do nothing. And the things that need to be done come to me at the perfect time for them to come to me. It's amazing when you can really sit in that level of trust and faith that you are held just as the birds and the bees and the trees and the flowers, and you are loved that much, and you don't have to do a damn thing to earn it.
That's right. Yes. Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
All right. So this brings me to a question. How is it that you decided to become a counselor?
Wow. Well, since I was young, I can remember thinking that I would like to be a therapist or a counselor. I was always the person that people would come to for advice, or when, their lives
Comfort.
were being challenged. Yeah.
Mhm.
And I never pursued it. But when I think when I discovered you and I got to witness how you were counseling people in your group counseling, Sacred
Circle. Mhm.
Just watching and listening to how you were guiding people using the teachings of A Course in Miracles and the other wisdom teachings that you have embodied through the years that you've been doing this, I knew that's exactly what I was meant to do.
Mm.
And so when I signed up for Masterful Living, I did Finding Freedom in 2013. I signed up for Masterful Living in 2014. And I think you had your first spiritual counseling training intensive that year. And I didn't go because I'd only been doing your course for a couple of months, and I just wasn't trusting my gut saying that I should go. But I went when you had it in 2016.
Right.
Was the most amazing experience I've ever had. So if any of you get an inkling to go to that, do it. And I was grateful to get to work with the other counselors in trading. Worked with Lori Gifford, who is also a certified counselor, through your program in completing the journals to do all that. And things just seemed to fall into place. It was great. And I got a another inkling inspirational hit a couple of years ago that I would be doing group counseling. And I was thinking it was going to look something similar to your sacred circle, but it wasn't quite coming together anytime I would try to put it together. And then just like the study group I got, the V8, I should have had a V8 moment. I was introduced to a woman that reads tarot cards on YouTube. And I really enjoyed the way that she reads them. And she posts every day.
Mm.
I don't have that kind of drive or desire. But I thought, oh my gosh, I could do this group counseling on YouTube. And so I started, I took her, she had a spiritual business course that she did, and I took that. It started last fall, ended in the spring. And then I just kind of dove in and created the YouTube channel, the Cosmic Heart, at Cosmic Heart Spirit Heart, with the dash in between Cosmic Heart and Spirit Heart. And I do like 15 to 20-minute videos a couple times a week, usually Tuesdays and Thursdays. They're uploaded 7 a.m. Eastern time. It's such a joy. And I think I've only missed 3 since my husband passed away. I missed the first week he was gone, and I missed the second one the 2 days before his celebration of life. I love it so much. I feel like I'm getting so much out of it. And I've had people that have listened to them that said great things about how they're
Yes.
receiving it and what they're
Yes.
learning about themselves.
Yeah, they're beautiful. They are.
Yeah, thank you.
Yes. Yeah, I'm so glad you're doing that.
Yeah, me too.
Mm-hmm. Yes. And I hope because of this podcast episode that more people will find you and seek you out, seek your
Yeah.
YouTube videos out, and the counseling and whatever classes come later this year or whenever. And it's yeah, all are called, right? All are called. Not everybody is called to be a counselor, right? But everybody is called to serve in some way, shape, or form, is how I
Yeah.
look at it. And there's no better way or lesser way. Some people are called to serve in very quiet ways
Mm-hmm.
that are profoundly helpful. So, one of my aspirations is that people like yourself who have that calling but don't feel qualified, that what we're offering at the Power of Love Ministry can support them in becoming confident and qualified. Yeah. Because to follow your heart's desire.
Yeah. If
As
you
I
do it, they will come.
Yes, as
Yeah.
I know what a wonderful counselor you are and how your clients love you so much. And it takes courage to step out.
Yeah, it
And
does.
it helps to have a community to support you, and but you do have to say yes.
Yeah, exactly. My friend Christine introduced me to Frederick, I think it's Buchner is how you pronounce his last name, quote, that says the place God calls you to is the place where your deep gladness and the world's deep hunger meet.
Mm,
It's that thing
beautiful.
where if you're doing what you love, you never feel like you're working a day in your life. And I don't do it for the money. I do it because I love doing it, and it's what I'm called to do.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
The money just pays the bills.
Yeah. 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 Exactly. There's nothing wrong with money, and I feel the same way. We are at our time here. It goes by so quickly. So I am going to close us out here with a prayer, and just a reminder, go to YouTube to find Linda Soto, and her channel is at Cosmic Heart at Cosmic Heart Spirit Heart. And you can also find her at powerofloveministry.net under the list of certified counselors there. So you can read some more about her and how to contact her there. And I am going to say a blessing to close us out. So we are grateful and thankful for the power of love within us, grateful and thankful to answer the call to be the two or more gathered, and to know absolutely that in order to have, we give all to all. So that's what we're doing right now. We're giving all love, all peace, all clarity to everyone everywhere, because we are one with them. So grateful to bless Linda's precious life and everyone in her life who has assisted her in remembering her true identity and being able to live from that true identity. We're so grateful to be lifted up by the love we share. In gratitude, sharing the benefits with everyone everywhere we allow it to be, and so it is. Amen. Amen. Beautiful. Thank you, Linda.